Bagley's struggling early. Shot clock winding down. Bagley kicks it out, gets it back. Can't get the shot off in time. That's a shot clock violation. Later in the first, Bagley tries to drive into traffic, but he's called for a travel. Now, give him a couple years in the league, and he's a veteran, then he'll get away with that. But he's not. It's the summer league. 0 points in the first half for Bagley. Second quarter, heat up one. Derek Jones Jr. Oh, sir. You'll see that on Top Plays tonight. If you weren't before, we'll just tell him to put it in now. Jones Jr. showing off the athleticism right now. Heat up 57-48 on the Kings.
More Summer League. Lakers, Warriors, Mo Wagner. Lakers first-round draft pick. Alex Caruso with a nice behind-the-back dish for Wagner for three. A little later, off a Warriors miss, running the floor. The big man, throw it down, big fella. Then late first half, fadeaway jumper from the baseline. This kid's got everything.
Don't you sleep on Wagner.
Yeah, 13 points, 13 boards, 4 blocks. Second half, Warriors up 9. Wagner double-teamed and stripped in transition. Watch Ryan Brown, the alley-oop for J.P. Takoto. That's nice. That's very nice. One more time in slow motion, please. Warriors take this one 77-71. Again, Wagner 13, and 4. Here are the top 5 free agents left, according to ESPN.com. The key factor here is they're all restricted free agents. The Rockets lost Trevor Ariza to the Suns, but they look to keep Clint Capella, who posted career highs in points and rebounds per game last season. The Celtics, they were one win away from reaching the finals thanks in part to Marcus Smart. Smart played only 54 games last season for Boston after suffering a thumb injury. Former number 2 overall pick Jabari Parker of the Bucks has torn his ACL in his left knee twice over his first 3 seasons, the most recent of which prevented him from reaching starter criteria last season. Zach LaVine didn't see the court often in his first season with the Bulls, playing only 24 games after recovering from a torn ACL himself. He was injured in 2017. And in his first full season with the Blazers, Yusuf Nurkic posted 27 double-doubles. He only had 21 double-doubles in his first 3 seasons in the league combined.
Our NBA insider, Ramona Shelburne, joining us now. Ramona, we've got Clint Capella on ESPN.com listed as the top available free agent left. What do you see happening with Clint Capella?
Well, I think as things stand right now, he looks like a guy who has to decide if he's going to sign that qualifying offer and then enter unrestricted free agency next year. That's a big risk for the Houston Rockets to take because he has become part of their big 3. But from what I understand, his initial meeting with the Rockets didn't go as he was expecting it to. There's not a big long-term offer out here that he feels comfortable signing right now. And he's been talking to other teams. The problem is nobody really has the cap space to make a compelling offer to make Houston nervous that he could potentially leave or even to match that offer sheet. And so he's got a tough decision to make. Do you take a chance, sign the qualifying offer, and then enter unrestricted free agency next year? I think he's leaning towards that, but there's still a long ways to go in this offseason.
Yeah, a lot of times teams are gambling on players, and in reality, sometimes players have to gamble on themselves. One of the players we're talking about that's not on the top 5 list of players, Isaiah Thomas. Ooh. What a difference a year makes. Coming off hip surgery and traded to the Lakers after not fitting in with LeBron and the Cavs in Cleveland. What's the latest, Ramona, on where IT will land?
Well, he just lost one of his biggest leverage chips here, one of his best options when the Lakers went and got LeBron James. They obviously have filled out their roster. They don't have much cap space left. And I know they had an interest in bringing Isaiah Thomas back on a 1-year deal, sort of a short-term deal, because they liked what he gave them last year. He came in, was a great veteran presence. But now with LeBron James in town, they've already filled out their backcourt. They don't have nearly enough salary cap space to give him the kind of contract he's looking for. So he's going to have to wait, and he may end up signing a veteran minimum deal or a mid-level exception. It's unbelievable to me where he's gone from 1 year to the next, but wherever he hooks on, I wouldn't count that guy out. I just saw him a couple of weeks ago at the draft. The draft ended. It was about 11 o'clock at night. We were all at home. Guess who was in the Laker gym shooting buckets? The last pick in the draft from when his draft year was Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that when he gets that opportunity, he's going to play with a chip on his shoulder to prove that so many teams messed up on that. Ramona's going to be back in just a bit to tell us why LeBron James is all in on some of these Lakers signings. League sources told ESPN that the 2-time All-NBA forward wants out of San Antonio with a preference to be traded to the Lakers. Leonard had grown frustrated with how the organization handled his quad injury and feels the franchise turned on him once he sought a second opinion. 4 days later, Leonard met with Greg Popovich out in San Diego with hopes to discuss the issues that have caused their rocky relationship. Leonard had told confidants that he did not want to sit down with Pop, and he had been purposely difficult for the Spurs to reach. All this time, Kawhi had made it known that he prefers to go to the Lakers, and well, the Spurs weren't having any of that. On June 21st, San Antonio shut the door on Los Angeles during a call regarding a trade for Leonard. However, negotiations did reopen and continue. Then July 1st, while LeBron James agreed to a 4-year, $154 million deal with L.A., Leonard's focus remained unchanged. That, according to our agent, Wojnarowski, he wants to wear the purple and gold and join the Lakers. Leonard could be a free agent after next season.
Stephen A. Smith joining us now right off the First Take special. Stephen A., with each passing day, what's the likelihood Kawhi Leonard will still be a Spur when the season begins?
Well, I still think it's 50-50. First of all, the San Antonio Spurs are not inclined to do business with the Los Angeles Lakers. We know the only reason this is a consideration is because Kawhi Leonard looked Greg Popovich in the face, told him he wants to be out, he wants to leave San Antonio, and obviously the word is leaked to everybody. Everybody and their grandmother knows he wants out of San Antonio so he can go to the Los Angeles Lakers. More importantly, the other teams in the league know he wants to be there, and as a result, he would just be a one-year rental. And considering how valuable of an asset he is, to have to give up so much just to get a one-year rental is not something most teams are inclined to do. As a result, forcing San Antonio to do business with the Lakers or pretty much no one else. It's also putting Magic Johnson in the sweet position of diminishing the level of urgency there is to acquiring Kawhi Leonard, because if he doesn't acquire Kawhi Leonard now, he's of the belief that Kawhi Leonard ultimately will come there next summer. Now what I'm hearing also is the name Damian Lillard, because even though Damian Lillard wants to stay in Portland, and that is his preference, he is also aware of the fact that the Portland Trailblazers is going to have difficulty acquiring marquee free agents. As a result of that, word is leaking out that he would be willing to depart from Portland, even though that's still his preference to stay. He would be willing to depart from Portland to head for the Lakers or the New York Knicks in one of those larger markets. If that were to happen, because that's a reality, rather, you have a situation where Magic Johnson could either continue trying to do business with the San Antonio Spurs to acquire Kawhi Leonard or say, bump it. You know what? I'll wait until next summer when Kawhi is an unrestricted free agent, free to come with us. And now I'll turn my attention to Damian Lillard, who has 3 years left on his deal, and maybe the same assets we were going to offer San Antonio, we can now offer to the Portland Trailblazers in return for the services of a Damian Lillard. And those players would include Alonzo Ball. It would include Brandon Ingram. It would include Josh Hart, maybe even a pick for Damian Lillard. So stay tuned. There's a lot going on right now. We'll see how things unfold.
All right, you mentioned Dame. It was my next question. A fan asked him on Twitter if he'd be happy to join the Lakers and LeBron, and he tweeted back, I'm typically a happy camper. What are the chances Dame pushes to get out of Portland and go to L.A.?
Well, again, it's a difficult situation to surmise because on one hand, Damian Lillard is incredibly happy. Not only is he making in excess of $27 million over the next 3 years, keep in mind that when you take into endorsement that he is the face of that franchise and the face, essentially, of basketball in the Pacific Northwest. So you're talking about him getting anywhere from $40 to $47 million annually coming in. He ain't broke. He doesn't need the money. He's getting paid handsomely, and he's the star out there. So he doesn't mind being out there at all. The problem is Portland has been to the playoffs the last 5 straight years, but they've been bounced out in the first round 3 of those 5 years, including the last 2 years. And when he gets on the phone with the Jimmy Butlers of the world and others, they've made it very, very clear, we love Damian Lillard. You're our brother. We got nothing but love and respect for you. We'd love to play for you, but it ain't too many of us that's willing to come out to the Pacific Northwest and play in Portland. That's the only reason why Damian Lillard would want to move on from there. So since he's willing to move on from there, if indeed they can't get other parts, Portland's under the gun to either deliver him some assets so they can improve and not get swept by the likes of Anthony Davis and the New Orleans Pelicans, or they could move him, make C.J. McCollum the face of the franchise because they could get some instrumental parts for the services of Damian Lillard. It's in Portland's hands because they have him locked in for the next 3 years. They do not want to lose him. They love him, but they recognize the fact that if they can't improve the team, it might be best for them to make a move. Whatever that move is remains to be seen.
Stephen A. Smith, thank you, brother.
All right.
Now that they've added four-time All-Star Rajon Rondo, LeVar Ball told CNN that Lonzo, I love that LeVar told everyone, that Lonzo's the starter and Lonzo is the backup. But Stephen A., in all seriousness, should Lonzo be the Lakers starting point guard?
It's possible because let's say, for example, hypothetically speaking, or actually not hypothetically speaking, let's say, for example, that the Lakers decide to shift gears and go away from Kawhi Leonard and pursue Damian Lillard. Why would they need Lonzo Ball? That's the question mark. They wouldn't need him. Now, be very, very clear. The Lakers are incredibly fond of Lonzo Ball. He can play. He's got an upside, as Max has pointed out accurately. He needs to work on his jump shot. We've seen pictures of him where he's clearly getting bigger and what have you. But they were alarmed at how small he was. Obviously so. His lack of assertiveness certainly concerned them throughout the season. They would need more from him. And if you go about the business of attracting Rondo, who should have been in New Orleans, by the way, they should have taken care of him. And you've got Rondo, not to mention you acquire Damian Lillard. That changes everything. All of a sudden, you have a deal on the table where you're talking about an Ingram, a Kuzma, a Josh Hart, who the Lakers love, by the way. He could defend multiple positions. He could shoot the three, shot 39% from three-point range. My man John Ireland at ESPN LA, Max, your former colleague there, he was talking to me about this a few hours ago. They absolutely love themselves some
Shot
Josh Hart.
40% from three, yeah.
That's right. They love Josh Hart. So when you consider his size, his ability to defend at multiple positions, all right, the upside, it was Jay Wright, my man at Villanova, his all-time favorite player. When you consider what he brings to the table, and you combine that with Ingram, and then you add Lonzo, and you're talking about a first-round pick. If you're the Portland Trailblazers and Neil O'Shea, you may be willing to entertain such a thing. So it's definitely not beyond the realm of possibility that Rondo could be starting. Not that it would happen, because if you got Damian Lillard, he certainly ain't starting ahead of Damian Lillard. But it's certainly not beyond the realm of possibility that Rondo could be a Laker come season opener, and Lonzo may not. Matter of fact, you've got some people out there, and Bill Plaschke, again, the voice of LA for the LA Times, told me earlier today, Max, he is of the belief that the news was leaked out by Lonzo's camp about Lonzo's meniscus injury specifically for the purposes to derail a potential trade. Because in his mind, he believes there's fear out of Lonzo Ball's camp that Lonzo could be moved out of L.A. So putting this out there might quell interest in Lonzo and stall things so he can end up in Lakers camp come training camp and take it from there. This is the kind of stuff Bill Plaschke was saying. So I'm just saying that all of that stuff is going on right now, which leads me to believe Lonzo in the air, up in the air right now, is definitely something that's very, very real.
Well, I mean, if the question is should Lonzo start or come off the bench, as the roster is currently constructed, Lonzo should come off the bench because Rondo is better than Lonzo right now. Rajon Rondo is not only a brilliant guy referred to as a basketball genius and just a genius, but he's a studious, industrious player. You know, he's like having an extra coach on the floor. He studies every aspect of the game. So it's not just that he's very smart, but he applies it thoroughly. And that kind of stuff is what a younger player needs to see. But beyond all of that, right now, Rondo's a better player than Lonzo. So why wouldn't you put him out on the floor? And if the answer is you want to develop Lonzo, great, Lonzo. Go take that starting job away from that vet. Go do that. Nothing wrong with that. It's not a knock against Lonzo, who's already a super precocious and excellent player considering his age. You know, like the only thing he doesn't do way beyond his years is shoot. But he's a brilliant passer with amazing court vision and incredible passing skills. He's a very good rebounder for his position. He's a good defender already, considering his age especially. He can do it. The ball doesn't stick with him. He's excellent in many ways, just can't shoot. But that don't mean, and his learning, like, you know, where he may wind up can be a great place. But right now, today, he's the second best point guard on the team, Max. So he should come off the bench.
Question, Max.
Yep.
Considering all the things you just said about Lonzo, the one thing we'll never confuse Rondo with is being a great shooter. He's got everything else, and he raises his game come postseason time when it counts. I love me some Rajon Rondo. But what does it say to you that the Lakers went out and acquired him of all people? when you have Lonzo?
Well, I mean, I'll say this. They want to surround LeBron with tough-minded players, with players who can create, who, this was on ESPN.com. Ramona Shelburne and Brian Windhorst have this article up there now. Players who can create, not just shoot.
But that's not what I'm
LeBron's
asking
game
you.
is going to have to evolve now to have longevity. But beyond that, Stephen A., I would say Rondo's an underrated shooter. If you look at his three-point percentage over the last 4 or 5 seasons now, he's averaging about 35%, only taking 2 a game.
I got it. We got to go.
And
We got to go, but I don't think you didn't
35%
answer my
of
question. You got to go, but you didn't answer my question. I was asking about Rondo as opposed to Lonzo. Well, what you said about Lonzo. Why would you go out and get Rondo when Rondo is essentially the same? Just more experience.
He's a better shooter than I'm saying. 35% from 3 over seasons and seasons.
They ain't get Rondo because of shooting. They ain't get Rondo because of shooting.
No, but he can do it better than advertised.
And they don't have to worry about his family going on CNN and discussing his where he falls on the depth chart.
That's a better answer, Molly. It's a better answer, Molly.
All right, guys.
It's a much better answer than what
What's
Max
next?
And he helps
Joel
his teammates.
Embiid, one of the best follows on Twitter. He is back at it again. This time, he's targeting LeBron James. I'll tell you what he said next.